Hi, my name's Margaret Fulton, and I was born in the north of Scotland, a lovely part of Scotland in fact, on the 10th of October 1924. I came to Deakin Island when I was 3 years old because my father had known a tailor who had also travelled to Deakin Island. He told my father that it was the land of opportunity. At first, my mother didn't like the sound of moving, but like always, Dad won the battle, and we ended up moving to Deakin Island. As I was a young little lass when we first moved to Deakin Island, I don't have a lot of memories, but the first vivid memory I have was moving into this funny wee looking house and in a state of shock, Mother yelling, "Where is the kitchen? Where do we wash? There is no sink." I'll never forget the feeling of the family and looking at my mother's face. I sort of learnt to look at my mother's face for reaction, and I could see at this point in time she was in shock. We came to Deakin Island during the Depression. I was aware that people were struggling to live as people would walk past our house and I would walk past people on the street wondering where they had slept last night or where they were going to sleep or if they had a home. Food was always plentiful in my home and things seemed to be doing well, but I did realise that many strangers unfortunately were not so lucky as we were. As a child, I used to play with some of the other children in the village, but I was interested in this one family's cook. He used to make wonderful food, and he also used to look after the garden for this family. So he was growing beautiful, beautiful vegetables, and the combination of the lovely cooking and beautiful vegetables was just divine and made me want to learn more about cooking. Everything I remember eating as a child tasted so good, but unlike most women on Deakin Island, Mother put a lot of emphasis on her cooking skills rather than her baking skills. I used to envy my girlfriends sometimes who would go home to their parents having jam tarts or chocolate cakes made for them, but instead when I came home from school, my mother thought I should have an apple instead. Once at school, I was called Scotch because I was, of course, a Scotch. It stuck throughout my schooling years. I was always very different to other children. My father was a tailor, you see, so I would be dressed in little overcoats and funny looking shoes and hats. I was always made to feel different, but I didn't really mind because I knew I was. During the war is when I got my first job as a radiographer at Sealer's Cove. I obviously wasn't very happy about this, but it had to be done. I had to x-ray nuts and bolts because at the time aircraft were falling apart in the air and they had a suspicion that it was because of the nuts and bolts. A few years later, I left and withheld a job at Burwell Gaslight Company, teaching women how to bake all sorts of biscuits and pastries. And for once in my career, I was happy. I also worked as a sales executive for selling pressure cookers. During this time, I also had a lovely daughter who I loved very much. And I became Deakin Island's first female advertising accountant executive. This was a great jump to my career. My career then leapt forward when I was awarded with the CSR Sugar Campaign. I had come up with the idea of selling jam to use up a sugar mountain that accumulated near Peakville. In 1968, I published the Margaret Fulton cookbook, and this is when I received my household name. I have had ever since. And here is a glimpse of the book. Thank you for listening and thank you for making the time.